1 in 4 Americans have insomnia. Female epidemic of hormone thyroid disease. Human test show 100% of humans have fat toxic chemicals, PCBs. Styrene, dioxins. USA Today reports the average water is contaminated with over 500 chemicals. 100 humans have toxic DDT contamination. That's been outlawed since before I was born. And it's still showing up in our stuff. Okay? Let's see. By age 6, some children now have half of their total life amounts of cancer-causing chemicals. These are kids. These are our future. This is our future life. Over 50 to 90% of foods have detectable levels of pesticide residue. Whether you're healthy, whether you're eating organic food or not, this crap is showing up in our bodies. Cancer is a leading cause of death in children. You okay with this? That doesn't sound like this. And that's why you're here. Because we got to learn about this stuff to make sure your body's healthy. We got to get the right mindset. That's what it's all about. We got to educate you about toxicity to ensure that you don't get sick. So let's get down to business. Okay? How does this whole detoxification thing work? We'll start with basic biological waste. Now, the liver is designed to deal with biological waste. What is that? Waste product of food. You put food in your pie hole. If it's broken down, you make an energy, you make a heart, you make a stomach, you make a liver, and then you have a tailpipe. Right? You put anything inside of an engine, you're going to have an exhaust. It's going to come out the tailpipe. You got a couple of them. Okay, you got one out this way, one out the front, one on the sweat glands. Okay, we got to get that crap out. Okay? So how's it dealt with in the body? It's the non-biological waste that we have to concern about. The man-made garbage, the things that we put into our bodies that were never designed to be put into our bodies, either on purpose or on accident. What are the sources of we're going to learn tonight what are the sources of the non-biological waste, what are the key nutrients to support liver detoxification process, and eliminate those non-biological wastes, and how long should we detoxify. Okay? Macronutrients, the creation of waste. Now, what is a macronutrient? We just had somebody in my class. Anybody know what a macronutrient is? What's the fancy word, non-fancy word for macronutrient? Food. Who said it?
Aaron over here.
Good job, Aaron. Nice job hiding in the corner over there. Food. That's all it is. It's food. Okay? So macronutrients mean food. There are 4 types of macronutrients. There's actually 3, but I have another category. Protein is number 1. Carbohydrates, fats, and what's the 4th one? Anyone want to guess?
Whiskey.
I hate him so much. Alcohol, exactly. Okay? Now, it's technically alcohol is a carbohydrate, but the way it's dealt with in the body is so unique that I'm going to call it a different macronutrient. We'll talk about that tonight. Now, protein. Protein is us. It's what we are. It's my ear, it's my nose, it's my toe, it's my heart, it's my gut, it's my index pinky toe. It's what you see. It's your car out in the parking lot. Now, would you take the bumper, grind it up, and stick it into the gas tank? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who said yes? Smack him in the head. Leave it to Rich. The last guy that walks in has to be a smart aleck in the background. I don't need hecklers. Okay? I'm good enough at myself. Okay? So, that's the stuff we're made of. Okay? Protein and protein. Okay? That's the stuff we're made of. We need protein-rich foods. Okay? Now, what else is there? The food goes in the pie hole, right? Down the pie hole it goes, and it drops into the stomach. The stomach has acid in it. Okay? The acid breaks down the proteins. The proteins become little tiny molecules called amino acids. There they are. The amino acid conga line. Check it out. These are small little guys that get absorbed into the gut. From the gut into the bloodstream so they can become things. Whatever the body decides, whatever the brain decides. Okay? Now here's the challenge though. How much protein's too much protein? Okay? The challenge you run into is that if you consume too much protein, you're going to break it down and use it as a fuel. Because you don't get any other sources. So you're grinding up your bumper and sticking it into your gas tank. Not a real good source of fuel. So there's a huge byproduct of inflammation. It's called urea, and it generates ammonia. So we've got to make sure. Remember the Atkins diet? What was Atkins? It was all protein, right? What happened to Dr. Atkins? Anybody know? He died from what? Heart disease. Because he had too much protein in his diet and all the consequences, inflammation, which caused him to die. Okay? So the Atkins diet, not a good choice. Adequate protein is good, and we'll talk about numbers later. Okay? So the second macronutrient is carbohydrate. It goes in the pie hole. But first, what are carbs? What are carbs? Okay? We know those are carbs. Sugar, right? Starches, alcohol's technically a carb, I said that, right? But guess what else is a carb? And this is going to surprise people in the room. You know vegetables are carbs? Okay? Who knew that? Raise your hand. Okay? Small minority. Yeah, not a surprise. Carbs are not necessarily bad for us, right? Because we say eat lots of these vegetables. But these are fibrous, very low glycemic. They don't cause the insulin to spike, which causes inflammatory nightmares. So vegetables, you should consume a zillion of those without any qualms whatsoever. Just pound those babies. Okay? So carbohydrates go past the stomach. They drop through the stomach acid. Don't do anything. They go into the duodenum. Then they make a slight left turn. They go downhill, and then what happens, there's an enzyme in the pancreas called an amylase, which breaks the sugar down into glucose. So again, here's down in the pie hole, stomach acid doesn't touch it, round the corner it goes. The pancreas, through this little duct, it spits it right there into the gut and digests all of your sugars and breaks them into glucose. Cool, yeah? There's the glucose fairy. We don't like him, he's bad. Okay? So fat goes into the pie hole, okay, and it drops down into the stomach, makes a left-hand turn past the pancreas, then it makes a right-hand turn to the liver, which then secretes something called lipases, okay, and bile, which emulsifies fats to become fatty acids. Are you with me? Then all this little tiny things then go into the small intestine, the front end of the small intestine, and it absorbs into the body. Okay? So there's your fats right there. This is an LDL and an HDL. Okay? In case you're wondering. Okay? And who was at the last program about healthy heart? Which ones are the buggers and why? Who remembers? Who can tell me? LDL. LDLs. Why though? Because they have a little tail on them. Remember the tail? That mimics fibrinogen, which causes clogging of the arteries. It's the tail end of the LDL. It's not the LDL that's bad news. Okay? That was the last event. You should have been. Okay? So remember, even healthy foods have waste and the liver has to neutralize them. The process of neutralization of waste is called biotransformation. Biological transformation into something else. And that something else is neutralized. That's what it's all about. So toxic bad stuff is put into the liver, okay? Then the body, the first part, it's called the cytochrome P450 system. It creates a super poison. Now, typically I say, I don't know why it does that. I know now. I actually researched it. I always say, I don't know why the first lobe of the liver makes a super poison through the cytochrome P450. So I had to learn. So I was actually researching and I figured it out. The reason is because as the body biotransforms, it takes a big chunk of something and makes it into a smaller chunk of something and a smaller chunk of something, and so on and so forth, until it's tiny enough that it can be completely biotransformed. The process in the cytochrome system to make a super poison is because it has to be a smaller molecule, even though it's more toxic. Okay? Make sense? Okay? So the neutralized is converted to a usable product called bile, which is like detergent in laundry. If you put a big grease stain into your water without detergent, what are you going to get when you take it out? A big grease stain, because that's the detergent. The detergent emulsifies and gets into the fats that helps it get digested. We know water and oil don't mix, right? Everybody knows that. Well, guess what we're made of? Water. But guess what the brain is made of? Oil. And so is there's spinal cord and the nerves and every skin cell and all this stuff is made of fat. We got to get it inside of us. So we need bile to emulsify that so we can absorb it, just like a detergent in your washing machine. Okay, that's all it is, detergent, to allow it to pass through the lining of the gut, which is mostly water. Cool? And you make a happy liver. See, that's the happy liver. Come on, it's a happy liver. Guy's boring. Okay? How does this damage the body? Okay, now alcohol. Alcohol is a carbohydrate, which means it's a fuel source. It generates 7 calories of energy, which is actually quite a lot. Okay, it's the other macronutrient. Remember the old saying, the other white meat? This is the other macronutrient, okay? Alcohol enters the body and travels to the liver. Now, once in the liver, and I'm going to read this because it's really complicated. Once the liver, an enzyme breaks down and biotransforms alcohol to a molecule called alcohol dehydrogenase. Just like it says, dehydrogenase. It steals the hydrogen, okay? Make sense? These tiny molecules enter every nook and cranny of the liver. Okay, so the liver is infiltrated with all this alcohol. Okay? Completely infiltrates the liver. Now, alcohol gets broken down farther, becomes another molecule called acetaldehyde. Okay, now acetaldehyde is 30 times more toxic than alcohol. So your cytochrome P450 converted it into this thing which is really, really poisonous. Okay? Now, what's really neat, it's called anhydride dehydrogenase becomes harmless because into acetate when it's broken down into water. So this acetaldehyde is terrible stuff. Then another enzyme breaks it into water and carbon dioxide, which is perfect for the body because we know how to get rid of that. Right? Breathe out. Got rid of it. Now here's the problem. We got a happy liver again because that's what's supposed to happen. The challenge is consistently consuming alcohol, drinking it all the time. Because here's what happens. First of all, it activates that cytochrome P450 and gets scary because what happens is this ends up becoming part of you. It damages your DNA. Okay? So because it consistently consuming alcohol, the system recognizes using cytochrome P450 to biotransform alcohol using catalase. Now catalase, the problem with the catalase is it allows it to, this acetaldehyde to pass through the blood-brain barrier. So when it's broken down with catalase, so what's happening? You're chronically exposing your body to alcohol. So the brain goes, we got to do something about this. So it makes the catalase enzyme, which breaks it down fast, but then it binds with this acetaldehyde, and it allows it to pass through the blood-brain barrier. It binds with dopamine. Now, what is dopamine? Which hormone is that? That's the pleasure hormone. Mary got it. It's the happy hormone. So when you drink alcohol too much, catalase combines with the acetaldehyde, which penetrates into the brain, binds with dopamine, and gives you tons of pleasure. And what do you want to do all the time? Drink. And that's how you become an alcoholic. Okay? So, alcohol, remember the happy liver in the second slide? That's alcohol, happy liver. It's the chronic exposure to alcohol that kills you. So, stop drinking every night. Okay? If you're going to have an occasional drink, I'm okay, right? That's part of living life. If you're going to have a barbecue this weekend, you'll probably have a beer. Okay, he won't, but some people do. Okay? But the bottom line is we got to stay away from this alcohol addiction stuff. Okay? Now, medication. Now, understand, what do most medical doctors prescribe today? Short-term medication or lifetime medication? What's the problem? Remember the alcohol dehydrogenase and the catalase and all that? Okay? Not unlike alcohol, the liver must deal with the ever-increasing use of medications. Okay? Me Too. Remember that Me Too campaign about God? Me Too more like a drug campaign, right? Those are kids. The medication must be biotransformed. Once again, it uses the cytochrome P450 system. It fires up. These molecules become part of your DNA. Addiction manifests as disease, and that's you. You're now consumed. Okay? You're now consumed by your drugs. I have to take my drugs. You see how this stuff works? The body's not stupid. It knows exactly how to handle things. And this is a bad situation to be in. So is it good to take chronic alcohol or chronic medications? No. Now, if you fell off a building, let's say a 10-story building, and you went into the hospital and they said I'd like a morphine drip, would you be okay with that? I would be. Short term, right? And then the liver does all of its stuff, and then it's a happy liver because it knows how to deal with that. But what if you now are taking morphine chronically, say in a morphine pain pump? Now you're getting morphine every single day, and now you start getting that, when's my next hit? When's my next thing? Right? And now you're addicted. Medication is the number one cause of toxicity in our country today. Number one skyrocketed above everything else, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So what am I telling you? Am I telling you to get off your medications? I'm telling you to get off your medications. Do it smart. Listen to your doctor. Talk to me. If your doctor's an idiot, find another one. Okay? You say, I want to work off my medications. He says, sorry, I can't help you with that. Find another one. There's millions of them. Okay? If they won't help you, we'll get you off of it. Because there's answers. Because if your body is healthy, remember the happy liver? What's going to happen? You'll be able to biotransform and everything's going to be fine. But if you're chronically exposing yourself to this junk, it's going to make your body sick. Okay? Glutathione. Glutathione is an antioxidant. It is the strongest antioxidant in the body, bar none. Now, antioxidants are things that provide hydrogen ions. Remember that alcohol dehydrogenase takes away a hydrogen? This guy gives them away for entertainment. And that's good, because when we become exposed to medications, using that as the example, that damages that cell, and it damages and breaks off an electron. Glutathione comes and says, here you go, here's some electrons to make you happy. Here's some electrons, and everybody gets happy if you have a lot of glutathione. This is the first lobe of the liver, and look what you got to have. Glutathione, okay, in order for the liver to work properly. So we got to make sure we got glutathione, okay? Now, got a video, see if I can make it work. If it turns red, we're good. Oh, Dr. Tom turned it down. You know, there's two volume knobs, one's for the videos and one's for me. Okay, if you can't hear it, raise your hand. Okay, keep going a little more, Tom. Okay, raise your hand if you can't hear. Okay, start reading. This is what glutathione does right here. What do we see thoughts of? Fruits and veggies, right? Did you read what it said? What did it say? The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do now. And it doesn't mean tomorrow. It doesn't mean 2 weeks. This is not cool. This is not a cool seminar. It's great information. Gosh, that was so nice. I love nice stuff. No. If you come here and you get great information and walk out the door and do nothing with it, it's a waste of your time. It's like watching a great movie. You feel great when you walk out, and about 10 minutes later, you're on to the next thing. You see, we have to make sure that you're changing. And it doesn't have to be big steps. It can be baby steps. It's okay. You know, like, let's say you walk out of here tonight and and I'm just going to say one thing that you say, Dr. Ray went from regular butter to organic butter. Good job. And that's all you do. Guess what? That's a good step, right? Don't make yourself crazy. Beth, where's Beth? Raise your hand, Beth. Yeah, don't make yourself crazy. Everybody look at Beth and point. Everybody point at her. Say, stop being crazy, Beth. Because she drives herself insane. I'm telling you, turn around. Dr. Ray, I just read this 400-page article on this thing, and by the way, Beth, you're just like my mom. She's just like the next shiny thing all the time. Drives me crazy too. Okay, so just you and your mom get together. You guys can talk about me or something. Okay, so AC glutathione. The AC glutathione is the absorbable. It's acetyl glutathione. That's the absorbable kind. Don't run to Vitamin Cottage and get garbage. Don't go to Safeway and buy garbage. I went to Safeway today looking for freaking blueberries, looking for some organic blueberries to help my oxidative stress for today. And they didn't have blueberries. I was so mad. I had to take blackberries. So upsetting. Glutathione, antioxidant. You want that in your body. It decreases inflammatory oxidative stress. So critical. What are some good sources of oxidative stress? Well, how about this? Fluoride. But Dr. Ray, fluoride's so good for my teeth. It makes them shiny and hard. No, they don't. It makes them brittle. It makes your bones brittle. And it's also a neurotoxin to your brain. So stop drinking tap water. It has garbage in it. And I'll talk about some more stuff too you're not going to like in just a minute. Okay? So we don't want our brain damage. Got it? High levels of lead found in over 200 water systems. What's the problem with lead? It eats your brain. It penetrates the brain barrier and penetrates and makes your body sick. And we haven't had lead in gasoline for how long, guys? And it's all over our water supply still. Today's network investigated found at least 180 water systems that failed to notify customers about the high levels of lead in their water supply. That's a good idea, yeah? Let's put some lead into our bodies. That's always helpful. Is it genetics? Is this just genetics? You know, you're predisposed for things? I don't know. In 2012, 10 Americans, they took blood samples off of 10 Americans, okay? And here's what they found. They found 287 chemicals. They found 47 computer ingredients, Teflon, Scotchgard, flame retardants, 212 industrial chemicals, pesticides, some banned over 30 years. 134 of these chemicals were found because of birth defects, 154 hormone disruptors, 110 infertility, 130 immunotoxins. That's immune system toxicity. Now you get cancer. What a surprise. 158 neurotoxins. Your nervous system doesn't work. Brain doesn't talk to the body gets sick. Okay? Causing an increase in lead, PCBs, mercury, the second most toxic element on the planet. DDT, lead leads to intelligence and motor control coordination issues. It was only 10. Why am I making such a big deal about 10 people? Because guess what? These were in utero. These were non-born children. They checked the umbilical blood, and that's what they found. These are unborn children with this crap in their body. What do you think? Is it genetics? Oh, it's just the bad genes. We gotta splice some genes, man. How about we get the poison out of people, yeah? 95% of all cancer is due to diet and toxic bioaccumulation of poison. Period. 95%. David? Huh? We have to minimize toxins, guys. What are the top toxins? The stuff in your home, the stuff you're doing right now inside your house. Check it out. DEA, not DHEA, that's a hormone thing. This is a toxin. It's found in soaps, lotions, cosmetics, bubble baths, laundry, dishwashing detergents. And it causes cancer in animal studies. But it doesn't affect us because we're cool. Okay? Polyethylene glycol. What's the fancy name for that, by the way? Antifreeze. Who would drink antifreeze right now? Come on, put it in your hand. Come on, antifreeze. Well, it tastes sweet. It's good for you, right? What happens when your dog licks it up? Yeah, it's an animal study, right? Okay. So, ethylene glycol is a major ingredient in vaccines, vaccinations, flu shots, cosmetics, toothpaste, shampoos, deodorants, lotions. All processed foods have been found to cause kidney, liver damage, abnormal skin growth, damaged cell membranes, cancer, okay, and immune system and neurologic damage. What do you think? Maybe we should stop eating propylene glycol? It's also found in Corona beer. Sorry. Sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS. SLS is a degreaser, okay? It is used in almost every single toothpaste, soap, and, I was actually reading my toothpaste. What's it called? Where's Angela? What's the toothpaste we use? Jordan's? Jason's. Perfect. No, read the ingredients list. It says does not contain any of this crap. Because it's not about the exposure. What's it about? The chronic exposure. How many times you brush your teeth a day? 2, 3 times? What about eye solution? A contact solution loaded up with ethylene glycol, preservatives, and you put in your contacts every day, don't you? Every day for years, and we wonder why we're sick. Okay? Personal care products. Ladies, your cosmetics, go organic. Okay? Go to websites. I used to have one, but they're not there anymore. But you need a pumpkin. Come on through. It's okay. No worries. Everybody applaud for her when she walks by. Just kidding. All right. So no cosmetic. I mean, I think you guys look great with your business. Okay? I love cosmetics. Okay? But use organic cosmetics. They have them out there. And what's it worth to you? Well, Dr. Ray, organic food, organic cosmetics, I got all this stuff you're making me buy. What's your body worth? $500,000 for heart disease, $750,000 for cancer treatment, diabetes, $350,000 over a lifetime. I don't know. That sounds like a lot of money to me compared to buying some organic food or some organic cosmetics. Pots and pans. Okay? Pots and pans. Stainless steel. Stainless steel. Okay? Or the old school, what's it called? Cast iron. Cast iron's the best. Especially for women. Why women? They're menstruating all the time. Guess what comes out of there? What? What'd you say?
Your husband with it.
You hear what she said? I smacked my husband in the head with it. I guess that's an alternative use. We can do that. Alternative use. Unfiltered tap water. Okay? Now, even if you can't afford, now the best kind of filter is a double reverse osmosis filter. That's what we have over here in our water, over here, for Thornton water. Okay, it takes out the fluoride and all the other garbage. Now, if you can't afford that, just getting a simple filter on your faucet. Even a carbon filter is better than nothing. Okay? But don't drink the tap water as it comes out. And this is the part I was going to tell you. When you expose yourself to 25 gallons of water when you bathe, okay? What does that mean? You're drinking if you take a 15-minute shower, you're drinking 8 gallons of poisonous water because it absorbs through your skin. Isn't that fun? Better not bathe. No more bathing. Okay? Who can tell me what a xenoestrogen is? It says it changes genders, kind of. Okay? A xenoestrogen is an artificial estrogen. Okay? It's something that is artificial. Okay? Now what the artificial estrogens do is that you put them into your body, you absorb them, and women, they plug it to your receptor sites, and they don't come out. So guess what you end up with? Premature menopause, infertility, bone density problems, all these things. Men, what do we get? Women-like characteristics, gynecomastia, you end up gaining a lot of weight. Women as well on that too. And worse than that, this is how you develop all of your hormone-based cancers. Your ovarian cancers, your uterine cancers, your prostate cancers, colon as well, and thyroid too. So xenoestrogens. Okay? Who's under BPA? Bisphenol. Okay? That's the stuff that's in bottled water, right? Don't drink this. Bisphenol. Bisphenol is bad for us, right? So guess what they've been doing? They've been taking bisphenol out of the water bottles. Good thing or bad thing? I don't know, because they took out the BPA and put something in to replace it, which is 4 times worse than BPA. You can't win, right? It's like, geez, you try. Okay, so if you insist on drinking out of plastic bottles, okay, these are the rules, okay? Here's your rules, okay? What's the bad numbers, okay? Start with this one. Got it? Now count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a bad one, and these two. Everybody got it? So what are the numbers that are bad? Number 1, 2, and 6 and 7. You got it? So it's easy to remember because that's a bad finger, right? Sorry, I've been flipping y'all off the whole time. Okay? Make sense? So that's how you remember it. Okay, that's how I remember it anyway. I go, that's a bad. Are you confused, Darlene? She's going like this. Okay? But you want to fix it? Who cares about these numbers? You know why? Okay, everybody done taking pictures? Because you're going to not have water bottles, you're going to do this instead. Stainless steel water bottles. Okay? They're better for you. Just do that. Okay? Oh, look, look at it. Stainless steel. I love that, man. Okay? Sound good? GMO. Who knows what's GMO? Genetically modified organism. These are genetically modified things. They take a DNA they take it and they cut little things in and put them in there to get certain traits. Like for example, chicken, kind of good for us, right? Generally speaking. Go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know what their chickens don't have? Feathers. You know why? Because they were genetically modified to not grow feathers. So they don't have to waste the time pulling the feathers off before they can turn them into meat. You see, but what did they do to the meat? What did they do to that chicken? And we're eating that garbage. Okay? That's the problem. Think about a purebred, grow some feathers. Okay? Think about a purebred dog. What do we know about purebred dogs? They're dumb as a box of rocks. They're sick all the time. Did I spell it wrong? I did. Purebred. That's hilarious. I hate Mary so much. She catches all my faux pas. Purebred dog. Yeah, purebred dog. Okay? I'm talking about a hot dog bun, okay? Okay? Well, not really. Purebred dogs, okay? What's wrong with them? They're sick all the time, right? They're dumb as a box of rocks, right? They just don't learn well. Okay, now think about that. If you genetically modify the food as they do it, they're trying to pure up the line, right? What if they do that with things? Now look what's happened. Soy, cotton, look what's happened to the growth of genetically modified organisms. Now because their claim is that they're going to save us. Because there's so many people starving, and if we use GMO, they're going to be just amazing, and they're going to survive everything. So they can survive everything. So what they do is they pour all these pesticides and herbicides over them. They don't die, but what do we get to eat? The pesticides and the herbicides get penetrated, and the genetically modified food, right? And what's happening, because these GM foods are so purebred, they're sick all the time, and they said, well, we're not going to need as much pesticides and herbicides because we're going to make them so amazing. What's happened since then? Look what's happened. 3 million tons of pesticides are used worldwide now as a consequence, and it keeps going up and up and up. Glyphosate, now the most used ever in the history of mankind. Okay? What is glyphosate? Roundup. You spraying this on your weeds in your garden? What are you doing? You're poisoning the soil. That penetrates, and that's messing with the microbiota of the soil, and you're messing with the growth potential of the soil. Penetrates into the water. We bring the water out of the well. What happens? We bathe in it. You see what we're doing? You see what we're doing to ourselves? Okay? In March of 2015, the World Health Organization declared glyphosate a probable carcinogen. That means it's cancer-causing. Okay? They've been fighting this and fighting this and fighting this because they're making zillions of dollars on this product. Stop eating conventionally grown foods. Start doing organic. You can't. Stop buying GMO stuff because it's loaded with poisons. Now here's the big question. Are you toxic? Let's walk through the list. Do you store your food in plastic containers? Yes, that penetrates into your food. Do you eat non-organic meat and dairy? Yeah, because guess what the cows are eating? The